Etapu, Namaste, Assalamu alaikum. May Buddha bless you. Grand Rising. This is Qesankh Keperu with another video for you. In this video, we're going to talk about the Oscars. Will Smith slapping Chris Rock. But before I get into that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications on when I go live and when I upload recorded videos. And if you want to know more about my spiritual teachings, you can download a free ebook. Scroll down below, click on the links, download that ebook, and start reading right away. But if you want to follow that rabbit hole, or that rabbit down the hole, you can become a Patreon supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. Is up to you, and you may cancel at any time. You will get exclusive access to instructional videos on the esoteric, videos that will teach you how to summon the spirit, how to communicate with the ancestors, how to astro project, how to do proper meditation and breathing exercises, how to ascend to that next spiritual level, self-hypnosis. And if you are a $20 supporter, you'll get all your oracle readings for free. So become a Patreon supporter. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get the revolution started. So, Haru Nefer wants you to know that YouTube is at it again. What do I mean by that? They are deleting my videos. And it's getting really, really frustrating. I mean, it's just so frustrating to get these notifications. They took down a meditation video, and that's a health video. I didn't argue with them. I'm like, fine. Then they took another video. I woke up this morning and found out they took down another video. So it's getting really, really ridiculous. And it wouldn't be so bad if they weren't like inconsistent in what they're doing, because I'll see other channels where people are talking about aborting babies, using profanity, beefing with each other. And here I am making spiritual videos and I'm getting them deleted. So if you could help me out by spreading the word, sharing these videos before they get taken down. The good thing is I haven't gotten a strike, which is great. But I'm just a little perturbed at the fact that they keep deleting my videos. And for really just nonsense reasons, it violates their community guidelines. And I'm like, well, give me more details on what it violates, I mean, I had one video up, I don't know, it was about 5 years, and it's had over 1 million views. The video's been up for 5 years, had 1 million views, and they decide now to take it down. And the video is a comedy. Yet, I guess they or someone following the defensive. So it just gets really, really ridiculous. And I think it's, it's not supposed to be subjective, but I think it is. So it could be a combination of things of they find it does violate the community guidelines, or somebody reported it, or I don't know. But it gets just tiring having to deal with such nonsense, So watch the videos while you can, because who knows, they may not be up, which is why I try to be very careful, because I never know what's going to catch their attention or and what they're going to flag. I did one conspiracy theory video about Las Vegas. Didn't think anything of it. The video was up for 3 years, and suddenly, not only was it pulled down, but they gave me a strike. And like, oh wow, they have since changed their policy, admitted that wasn't the best policy, just to give you a strike off the bat, because you're not really aware of everything in the policy changes. The algorithms change and things of that nature. But yeah, like I said, just please share the videos and get the word out there. We want to spread this message, because whether you realize it or not, spirituality is important. And I have come to realize by watching other channels that a lot of people really don't understand spirituality. I'm seeing people who come from, I hate to use this word, but the ghetto, the hood, and they're calling themselves spiritual. and they're talking about rolling up or pulling up to somebody. I'm like, you are in no way spiritual if that is what you're talking about. You know what I mean? And I don't think they, this new generation of people are really aware what spirituality involves. And I should have saw this coming, because when you look at this generation and a lot of the women who are coming out of the so-called mega churches, a lot of them, we use the term, are ratchet, but they're still going to church. And I thought they would, learn something, like get off the stripper pole, you know what I mean? But somehow or another, these priests, or I should say these ministers at the pulpits, are not calling them out for their behavior. They're giving them a pass. I remember when I was in priesthood, I actually called out the fact that a lot of the women were getting pregnant and weren't married. It was an epidemic. And I called that out. And I said, this should not be happening. You should be getting married first, then planning for the child. So something is really broken in terms of the culture and also our mindset, our perspective on what is spiritual. Because we don't know. We don't have a good picture of that. We're thinking that, you can go gangbang and still be spiritual. I'm not kidding. That's how we're seeing this. And I don't know where we got that idea from, but that's not possible. You can't go gangbang, or you can't go conning people and then be spiritual and claiming you're spiritual. What kind of stuff is that? It's just crazy, I'm watching this one woman's channel where she conned a bunch of people off some type of retreat, never gave them their money back. When they asked for their money back, she got ghetto on them. And now she's still broadcasting more videos, calling herself a spiritualist and giving advice. I'm like, are you serious? This world is skewed in the same way as we're oversensitive about things. You see, when you're studying the Kemetic spiritual system, you're not supposed to be sensitive. You're supposed to be always at a state of amen, peace. And that peace comes from meeting challenges that fork in the road. When you meet those challenges, they hurt. They're painful. And usually there's a loss in some form. But you're supposed to always be at peace. Peace in the face of the greatest challenges. Not peace whenever you feel like it. So when someone's losing their cool and cursing somebody out or beefing with somebody, you violate the principle of amen. Because that's who you really are. You are peace, at rest, centered, all the time. When I was in priesthood, the only issue that I had was I would face challenges in my mundane life. And I felt I was too cool about things. Someone would insult me, and I would just be nonchalant about it, at peace. And I felt weird about that, guilty, because I didn't even have the impulse to verbally battle with them. That's when you get to that level of where the emotion doesn't even visit you. Someone can be insulting you and spitting in your face, and you're still centered. So I got worried, and I was thinking, well, does this mean I don't care about what they're saying? And the king was like, no, you care, but you don't allow your emotions to control you. There's a difference. You understand? And these individuals that you see who have these challenges of calling themselves spiritual are born and bred sahu, meaning they're allow their animal spirit to dictate and control their lives. Knee-jerk reaction. Someone insults them, they're ready to throw down and fight or beef online. I just say, you know what? I'm going to be at peace. And if I need to retaliate or do something, I rely on my magic. See, before I wasn't schooled in magical arts, juju, voodoo. I didn't know much about that. So what I did was I was just at peace. But now when someone challenges me and something happens, I'm at peace and I resort to using magic to right the wrong. As you get further, you learn that the highest level, you learn that it's all Maya. It's all an illusion. And these individuals who you think are insulting you are really the avatars you created to do so that you can grow spiritually. All your challenges that you perceive as outside external forces are really things that you give license to push you, to make you spiritually stronger. You see, at the highest levels of when you go into the hall of Ma'ati, you make the agreements with people. You make the agreement with a friend you had in the past life and say, listen, you will be my father in my next lifetime and you will physically abuse me. So many people don't know when you get to the level of 5D, there is no good, there is no bad. Everything is one. There is the singularity. There's no classification of things. And still in this fourth dimensional plane, there should not be any classification for things. Because if something's happening to you, it merely is a scenario that you have created to play out, to experience yourself as God man, God woman. That's all it is. You have like a movie, you have written this script so that you can explore your theme, your destiny, and the people who you perceive as enemies are people that you have created. Because you know that some of the great movies, the greatest movies are good because they have a good villain. What's the Avengers without Thanos? So you have to write in your own life, your own movie, a great villain, the ruling elite. And their purpose there is to push you to become more spiritual and more powerful as a magi. But that's a high level of understanding and perceiving the world. Amen tells us, take neither gain nor loss to heart. So, you think you're losing something, but you got robbed. Oh, I'm losing something. I want to kill that person. No. That person you created to rob you specifically so that you can learn something and grow from that experience. Does that mean you don't seek justice? No, you're supposed to go and seek justice. That's the point. Some people take it too far. Some Buddhist monks take it too far where somebody robs them and they just sit there and meditate. Om, om. No, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to seek justice. That's important. But justice has to be administered without the emotion, without the sahu aspect to you. Otherwise, it's revenge. And that's taking the law in your own hands. That's not good. But the first and foremost thing that you must do is you must invoke justice upon your person, your own self. By ridding yourself of those emotions that are controlling you, you have to audit yourself and say, what are the emotions that I have allowed to dictate my life? And then deal with those emotions. And don't think for a second, just because I'm at this so-called high level of spirituality, that I don't have challenges. I have challenges every day. The only difference between you and I is that when I have a challenge, I address it spiritually right away. Most others just drop back into their Sahu self and address it in a physical aspect. We have to stop engaging in Cartesian logic where we think that everything has a one-to-one correlation. You hit me, so I must hit you back. No. I don't have to hit you back. I can go perform a ritual that will address this indirectly. You understand? Now, there is, of course, we know Haruka Huti is on the tree of life. He's the warrior. He's the god of justice. So that means that you are within your rights to use violence appropriately, to engage in battle when necessary, when all other means have been exhausted. So God does give you the Haruka Huti power, the warrior, to go out there and do battle. But you must consult the oracle and say, is violence necessary now? A serial killer is running around killing young children. You go to the oracle and you say, God, how do we deal with this serial killer? And you get the Haruka Huti Atep card. You gotta kill him. You gotta take him out. God is saying he's got to be taken out. He's doing wrong. He's gone beyond wrong. But we misinterpret things sometimes. And we're thinking, I forgive you. I got to forgive you. No. There are points where God says, no, this guy's soul needs to be recycled. Take him out. Damn the forgiveness. If he's going around killing young children, he must be stopped. So don't get it confused as if you're supposed to remain peaceful and accept abuse. Even God says with the oracle, when you're in a relationship, you're supposed to be at peace. So your mate could be yelling at you, spitting at you. And God says, okay, be at peace. And then when you have mastered being at peace and your mate has not changed, he or she is still yelling at you and spitting at you, and you go to the oracle and God said, okay, time to leave the relationship. God says, you can move on now, find someone else. You have mastered self. You are in the relationship to learn how to be amen. But now you have learned that lesson and time to move on. God doesn't want you in an abusive situation. He may have you in that situation for a short term just to learn how to be amen. But after that, he says, it's okay to move on. This brings us to the situation with Will Smith and Chris Rock. Now, I used to be a big fan of Will Smith. I used to like him a lot. One of the gentlemen I studied with, he was a well-known millionaire. And I first met him in San Diego, I think it was, or LA, I think. And he's a motivational speaker, making tons of money. So I went to him and I asked him if he would teach me things, hypnosis, dating tips, tips on dressing right, fashion, how to be a man. He said, sure. So I worked with him for about 6 months. And his girlfriend was really nice. She helped me and got me, like, took me to get clothes and dress and all that. And I learned a lot of things. It made me reflect on my upbringing and how I was verbally and physically abused as a child. It made me understand that my father was not present in the household, although he was physically there. He didn't want to be bothered with me and my brother. So therefore, we adapted a lot of feminine traits. And some of those feminine traits were to allow a woman to walk all over you. The woman is always right. To allow a woman to insult you publicly and you not address it. So looking back on that, I started seeing something wrong with this picture. So I began to correct that within me. And the way I corrected that was deep meditation, visualization, mantras. And I corrected that to the point of where when I became, we don't want to call it awoke or spiritually aware, I excommunicated myself from certain women in my family who were toxic. Very, very toxic. Didn't call them, didn't talk to them. Because I knew it was no sense explaining to them. Because they came from a gynocentric perspective. They had issues with men. And none of them had really good relationships. They're all dysfunctional. So I spent many years working on myself to become the type of man I knew was a righteous man, a spiritual man. And it wasn't easy because we essentially were brought up by my mother and her domineering ways. Unfortunately, I was never able to help my brother, though I tried. Now, I say this, the reason I'm bringing this up, because many men are still caught in that place of idolizing women, putting them above, putting their interests above their own interests. And Will Smith is one of them. See, I never followed too much about his personal life. I just loved his movies. But many people were telling me that Jada was toxic. Jada was sleeping around with other men. They had an open relationship. And I was in the Hollywood scene, and I heard rumors that the two of them, Will and Jada, had very sketchy sex lives. That they were involved in these Hollywood parties, they were swingers and things like that. I mean, I heard a lot about this. So finally they came out and talked about how they had an open marriage. And then Jada had this whole round table thing where every episode she was demeaning and insulting Will Smith, the man who, without her, she would be nowhere. And this was curious. Until it eventually got to a point where even women were saying that Will Smith needs to divorce her and move on. I'm like, when women tell you that, you got to listen. But he didn't. He stayed with her. And then this whole thing came out with she sleeping with this young man, August, in their house. And I'm like, wow. So she's basically walking all over him. But Will, if you look at him, he's a nice guy. Some, and I don't like this term, would call him a simp. And I'm like, I thought he was this alpha male. I mean, he's making these movies, he's traveling the world, he's giving advice on living. But he was the exact opposite. And it all culminated to the Oscars. And if you didn't watch the Oscars, then maybe good for you. Because the Oscars, they're not what they used to be. I stopped watching them a long time ago when I found out it was all mostly rigged. And they were giving awards to certain special interest groups instead of really films that deserved them. But in this Oscars that happened not too long ago, Will Smith and Jada were sitting together, and Chris Rock was standing on the stage, and he was giving a joke. And he made to me, it was just a lighthearted joke about how Jada would be cast in the next G.I. Jane movie, because Jada had a bald head, and Demi Moore in the film had a bald head. But apparently, it was funny. I didn't laugh. Will Smith laughed, but Jada did not laugh. And she gave Will a disapproval eye. And all of a sudden, Will went from laughing at the joke to marching on stage and slapping Chris Rock. And not only that, he went back to sit down next to Jada and started yelling at Chris Rock to keep his wife's name out of his mouth. When I saw that, me being an empath, I got a very negative and evil feeling about the whole ceremony. See, to me, something was going on that we were not privy to. This was very unsettling to my spirit. And I sensed something going on. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of what I perceive to be a staged event. I'm proceeding from this point on as if it really happened. And my feeling at the time was, if this is Hollywood, I don't want any part of it. I don't want any part of Will or Chris Rock. And there was a comment that Denzel Washington said that he should be ashamed of himself. And I no longer respect Denzel for making that comment. And the comment was something from Macbeth in your greatest, when he told to Will Smith, in your greatest hour, the devil shows, referring to Chris Rock. Chris Rock is not the devil. See, when you're into spirituality, what dictates your actions is love. Knowing that we all are one, we're all a part of the same consciousness. Will Smith, what he did was break the law. That was assault. Walking up there and smacking Chris Rock was assault. Why security wasn't there? Why didn't they escort him out? I don't know. But even if the joke went too far, which it didn't, we are brothers. Any dispute should have been handled during a commercial break or after the awards ceremony. Taking it to the level of physical assault is going way too far. And it demonstrates something going on within you that Chris Rock has nothing to do with. See, Chris Rock is a comedian. Comedians make jokes. Chris was on duty that day. He was working. He was doing his jokes. He was hired to be in the Oscars to make jokes. Just how Will is an actor hired to be in a movie. To go up there and physically assault this man was out of order. It was out of order. And some of the other people, the Hollywood people, should have stood up and said something. Especially the black people, they should have said, Will, we're brothers, man. We don't handle things this way. And I want to let you know a little secret. See, I did grow up in the South Bronx. And when you slap a brother, that's one of the greatest insults. See, a man will go up there and punch you. But to slap a brother, which we call as a bitch slap, is a serious insult. Like in the old days of chivalry, you know, he takes his white glove off and he slaps you with the white glove. Those are fighting. That's a fighting act. Additionally, it was a sucker punch, meaning Will gets up in a very controlled environment, a classy environment, walks up to Chris Rock. Chris Rock has no idea that this slap is coming. Why should he? This is a controlled environment. Who would expect one of the world's A-list actors to come and assault him? So Chris wasn't ready for it. He had no idea this was coming. And to walk up there and to slap the man is a sucker punch. And we have to give Chris Rock credit for remaining composed. Remember, this is on national TV. Hey, Rorschach, what's going on? Hey, at that boo, welcome. So this is on national TV broadcast all over the world of you slapping another brother. Not to mention that the Oscars is produced by a black man. So white people are looking and saying, look at them. We can't take them anyway. They're always starting fights. And like I said, I was brought up in the South Bronx. And one thing you knew is not to go to a club in the South Bronx. There was always a shootout. There was always a fight. Something always went down. Someone got stabbed. It always would happen. So you avoided the clubs in the South Bronx. So lo and behold, it's produced, the Oscars is produced by a black man, and this happens. But one thing we have to keep in mind with this is that Will Smith is also the victim. You see, we can't forget that. And we have to have love for that man. Because I said, I don't know him, but I think he's a genuinely kind and wonderful guy. But he's in a situation that's very toxic and negative. And that's his marriage to Jada. And if any of you have been in love, then you'll know that it's very, very tough to leave someone, especially if it's a toxic relationship. But what I want to show real quickly, and I hope I don't get a strike or get this video taken down, is just quickly the event and what happened so all of you can get some type of context. So let me share my screen so you can see the actual award ceremony and see Chris Rock getting slapped. Okay. So let's take a look at this real quick.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of him. Wow, dude. It was a G.I. Jane joke. Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. I'm going to, okay?
All right. So that's that.
Okay.
So as you see, he walks up there and slaps him, and he's yelling, "Keep my wife's name out of your effing mouth." What you saw there was displaced anger. Chris Rock is not the problem. The problem is, as you saw from the clip, Jada didn't approve of the joke. She rolled her eyes. See, Will laughed initially, but then when he saw that she disapproved, he had to do something to satisfy her. Let me just share this too. See if I can bring this up. Someone had sent me this, and I want to share this if I can bring it up. Give me 1 second. It's on my community page. Yeah, I don't know if I can share this, but let me just see for a second there. So someone shared this with me, which talked about the real problem is not Will Smith, and it kind of like labels Jada as narcissist, cheater, toxic, selfish, mentally abusive, manipulative, hostile. We know that later on, Will Smith did apologize to Chris Rock for this incident. But no, wait, let me take a step back. After the incident, he received the Oscar for the film King Richard, I believe. And he made an apology where he apologized to the Academy and the audience, but not to Chris Rock. It was after the ceremony that he apologized to Chris Rock. Now, some people are trying to say that Will Smith was justified in doing this. And the reason why he was justified in doing this is because his wife suffers from alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease where you stop growing hair, which is why she shaved her hair bald. I don't think Chris Rock was aware of that. And even so, it's not a life-threatening disease. And when you're a public figure like they are, and you're putting your dirty laundry in front of the world to see, then you must understand comedians and the press will make fun of that, will address that. So you have to, in the comedic saying, have a light heart about it. And again, what Will Smith should have done was to just laugh it off. And when the commercial break came, got up and addressed it with Chris Rock. That would have been the man way to do it. Or after this ceremony, backstage, pull Chris aside and say, you know, I appreciate in the future if you not make fun of my wife's hair. She has alopecia and it's a disease. So, and Chris would have, you know, Chris is a nice guy. He would have like, oh, okay, I'm sorry about that. Also, Chris offered an apology. Well, he came out with a statement, which was an apology. He has nothing to apologize for. I'm not sure any of you have gone to a roast, but if you go to a roast, especially if it's your roast, the jokes there are going to be hard hitting. They don't hold any punches. What Chris Rock said was super light. G.I. Jane is a movie. What is that, like 25 years old now? You know, that's ridiculous. It wasn't even like that funny of a joke. And to assault a man based on a little thing like that is actually ridiculous in a way. It's actually ridiculous. I want to take a look at that again. Just bear with me. Give me 1 second. I'd like to just take a look at that again. And see. Let me just go back and see. Take a look at this again. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna cue this up so we can see it again. I mean, I've seen it so many times. I'm like to the point of getting like sick of it, you know. But it's important that I want you just to see like how Chris Rock wasn't expecting this. And how it was a sucker punch. And one thing about bullies, and in this case, Will took on the role of a bully. They know how to pick their targets. They pick weaker people. People they know they can get away with it. Because I'm sure Will wouldn't have done that if The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, was on stage.
When he made a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, and before every...
Let me just keep this there.
Will Smith was already on stage slapping Chris Rock.
Yeah, and then there was...
So you saw that. That was just horrible. Let me cue this one up. Let's see what this looks like.
The history of television.
Responds the best way.
That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
So what?
So Chris, you know, Chris kind of handled it really well because he bounced back, you know. He bounced back from it. All right. He was able to just keep things moving, made a joke about it. And let me tell you something, it takes a strong man to stand up there and get smacked, bitch slapped on national TV in front of the world and not retaliate. It takes a strong man to do that. After, I think the LAPD asked Chris if he wanted to press charges, he said no, which was good. There's nothing he you know, I mean, he's gonna look like a bad guy if he presses charges against Will Smith. The point here I want to make is I saw Will Smith after the incident, after the ceremony on TV, at the after party, dancing it up, holding the Oscar in his hand. And immediately I said to myself, here he is dancing at this award ceremony, the Oscar in his hand. He's not addressing the problem. That family is dysfunctional. He needs some time away from Jada. She's not good for him. And to just be dancing away, holding the Oscar in your hand, as if nothing just happened. It's like, you guys don't know me. If I was there, I'd be like, Will, you just assaulted a man. You just sucker punched him or sucker slapped him. You got stuff you need to deal with. You got demons you need to address. Because he's allowed his emotions to be dictated by what Jada feels. In that case, she rolled her eyes. She didn't like the joke. Well, if you don't like the joke, you're in the wrong industry. But you saw initially how Will was reacting. He was laughing. And then he looked over at her and she rolled her eyes and she didn't like it. And I believe she leaned over and whispered something. And that's when he got angry. He took his cue from her. He was not a man who was at peace. He was a man. He was not a man who was centered. You see, he is an A-lister known throughout the world. His movies have made billions of dollars. He is filthy rich. And a joke about your wife being in GI Jane causes you to go up there and commit assault against another man in front of the world. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let me tell you something. Let me give you how I would react. This is me, right? I'm gonna be like this. This is me. Chris Rock tells a joke. I go, ha, funny, yeah, ha, 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 ha. My wife says, I don't like it. And I just go, baby, it's just a joke. Get over it. That's how I would have been. But this was the straw that broke the camel's back. It was displaced emotions. See, Will has been taking it all year from the media, from people telling him that he's not a man, that his wife is a man. She wears the pants in the family. So he was taking this, and then the joke, which I don't even think Will actually got that joke. Then when the joke came, it was the straw that broke the camel's back. And he decided to make an example out of Chris Rock, a man who did nothing. Chris Rock was on duty. He's a comedian. He tells jokes. That's what he does. He even said, it's a G.I. Jane joke. It's a tame joke. Exactly, Miss Princess Hotep. Exactly. Her face activated him. She put a battery in him. You see, my beloved, the reason that we are in spirituality is to not get into these situations. When you are at peace, nothing can disturb you. When you are at peace, you let a joke roll off you. I think, well, besides the fact that even if you're not in spirituality, if I've got close to $1 billion in the bank, a lot of things are just going to roll over me. I'm going to go, well, that joke upset me a little bit. Let me go on my yacht tonight, sip some champagne, eat some caviar, and get over it. You know what I mean? But this tells you the dysfunctionalism that's going on and the egotism that's going on in Hollywood, that no one there stood up and said, people, and I would have done that, you know, because I get myself in trouble. I probably would have stood up and said, people, is this what we're about? A comedian tells a joke we don't like, we go and assault them? Really? And then security would come and escort me out. Oh, we have an independent thinker here. Let's get him out here. But Will, again, is the victim here. Because along his journey to fame and fortune, he didn't learn how to be a man. He didn't learn how to be at peace. And I'm sorry, I have to address something. For all the sick women out there, and I'm using this term, sick, who say that they approve of what Will Smith did because he was defending his woman's honor. You are sahu. You are insane. Because this woman has no honor worth defending. When she goes on her table talks and exposes the fact that she slept with a young man, August, in their house, and embarrasses Will by disclosing that information. By talking about her love for Tupac. That's the type of woman you don't defend their honor. And never, almost never, should you resort to violence, to physical altercations. Because throughout history, we have seen some of the worst women who have pit men against men, nation against nation. Look at the city of Troy, battling over one woman. An entire war over one woman. And most importantly, Luce, thank you for bringing that up. They embarrassed all Black people, period. Thank you. Will has to recognize that he is a role model, especially for kids. And he goes up there and slaps Chris Rock. Is that the image you want to present to the world? Which you did. And then his son tweets this. His son says, "This is how we do it." That's disgusting, what he said. This is how we do it. No, that's not. That's how you go to jail. That's how you go to jail. Miss Princess Hotep, that's right. That's right. He got tired of those memes. But you see, he took it out on the wrong person because you see, even with me and the abuse that I endured, I failed to address it with the right person. Will doesn't need to slap Chris, doesn't need to tell social media to stop putting memes on there. He needs to address this with his wife, Jada. He needs to tell her that it's not okay for you to sleep around and then publicly tell the world. It's not okay for you to write letters to Tupac saying how much you loved him. This is inappropriate behavior. And for those who are saying, well, the alopecia was just an insulting insulting because she has this disease, and it's not a terminal disease. It's look, again, even if you felt some type of way about it, handle that after the commercial break. You don't slap another man on national TV. You don't slap your brother. And again, for Denzel Washington to make the comment he did was disgusting. It shows you how disconnected these Hollywood stars are. They have no independent thought process. Denzel should have said, look, young blood, that was a bit uncalled for. This is not how we do things here in Hollywood. Why don't you just go up there right now and apologize to Chris Rock? That's what Denzel should have said. And you see, Raslyn Reeds, you made an excellent point. And I was about to say, we have a habit of choosing our targets. You see, when it comes to another Black man or Black woman, we're so ready to fight, to cause an argument, to cause disruption. But if there was a white person there, I'm pretty sure we would have held back. Jada would have laughed. But because it was a brother, and we don't respect our own people, it was easy for Will to get up and do what he did. I'm thinking, how can you be that comfortable at this big award ceremony, getting up, walking up on stage? Like, what kind of moxie does it take to do that? You think you're that big a boss that you can just do that? This ain't your house, you know? That's correct. Yep, I agree with you. I think he was banned from the Oscars. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think he was banned from the Oscars for being very harsh with his jokes. So, oh yeah, oh he did. Okay, okay, awesome. Okay, there we go. Not awesome that he made a joke. I'm just saying that. I remember that Vibe magazine. I don't know if you guys remember Vibe. It's just years ago. Quincy Jones published it. One of the writers wrote a page on me and my movies, which is very, very insulting. It was very insulting. He called me names. He did this. But I wasn't ready to pull up on the guy. I wasn't ready to go and find him and slap him. My attitude was, hey, look, it's press. You know, at least people are talking about me and my name is out there. I'm getting some exposure, even though it's maybe not the greatest, but I'm getting some exposures. Oh, so he was banned, right? That's true. That is true. He was banned because he was calling out the Hollywood elites. That is right. You're absolutely right. We're entering some really strange times, you see. And Hollywood is yet to be exposed for the things that they've done. A lot of things have been covered up. But as I said, I felt a very evilness about this whole situation. So I want you guys to take a moment to hit the like button on this video, and please donate to the channel if you're in a position to do so. I would appreciate it. What it made me want to do when I saw this is to get more into my spiritual studies. Because like as I said, if I said this is Hollywood, I want no part of it. I expected better from them. But maybe my expectations were too high. You know? Maybe it was too high. I want to tell you all, don't believe the image you're seeing of these people. They're narcissists. They have overinflated egos. They don't care about you. Keep that in mind. It's all smoke and mirrors. I remember meeting Danny Glover at an award ceremony where I was receiving an award. And he kind of dissed me. It was really messed up. You know? And that kind of made me realize that these people are not what we see on screen. Funny thing about that too, me and my producer went to, this is years later, to a film festival. and I ran into Danny Glover again, and this time he was super nice, which was funny, and he was very playful, and he was talking to my producer and having just playing with her, and they were talking Spanish back and forth to each other. I didn't know Danny Glover knew Spanish. I was like, oh, cool. And so I guess that kind of made up for it, you know. But I just want you to know, like, you know, going into the situation, you just have to be aware of this is all smoke and mirrors. It's all an act. So don't take anything personal. It's something, if you meet your favorite star and they're not all like what they cracked up to be. If you meet me out there and I look super sexy, super gorgeous, don't feel intimidated. Come up and say hi or Hitepu. This is Qesankh Mai Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tahuti. Ma'at is the beautiful goddess Heteru. Until my next video, I'm in Ra.